Barb, Marie, thanks for being here, and it's an honor to be here with you today. What a crowd. Quelle foule, quelle énergie. Brothers and sisters, yes. You know, it's important in particular for me to see so many young people here today. Our whole movement, yes. Our whole movement has always been about removing inequalities in our society, and none is more important today than removing the inequalities between generations. It's great to see them here. I want to point out that I have lots of my colleagues here from the House of Commons. I've got, first of all, my Deputy Leader of the NDP, David Christopherson. Hi, Dave. Thanks for being here. Notre porte-parole à la Chambre des communes en matière des droits du travail, justement, en matière de travail, c'est Alexandre Boulris qui est là. Wayne Marston, Andrew Cash, Rathika Sitsabias, and Peggy Nash, Matt Kelly, Mike Sullivan. The hardest working person I've ever met in my life, Olivia Chow. Tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary since my election as leader of the NDP, and so it was reassuring to know that there were going to be so many of you here, but the bar's been set rather hard, because as we were preparing to come in, one of the brothers who was with us looked at me and he says, you know, your speech is all that's separating us from our beer. So I figured I'd better try to make this good. But Catherine and I have spent the year traveling. Catherine has her own busy career in Montreal. She's always worked in our free, universal, public medical care system, and she understands more than anyone that it's under a lot of stress right now. But we've got incredible challenges and opportunities for us at the present time. You know, the relationship between the NDP and the CLC has never been more important and never been closer. Yeah, you can applaud it. I'm proud of that relationship, and I'm especially proud to stand united with you. In January, I spoke at the CLC Harrison Winter School in BC. There, just like here, I met the next generation of labor and political activists learning the tools of the trade and honing their skills. And there, just like here, the CLC led the way. Ce travail important et le leadership démontré par le Congrès du travail, par Ken Jeddy, par Hassan Youssef, entre autres, est plus important que jamais. De nos jours, le mouvement ouvrier au Canada fait face à d'énormes défis. La concurrence en provenance de l'étranger, mais on met encore des embûches pour les travailleurs avec une entente qui, par exemple avec la Chine, qui tient compte des intérêts des investisseurs, mais qui ne fait rien pour garder nos jobs. Des gouvernements de plus en plus hostiles ici au pays, des lois antisyndicales à l'américaine, qui s'attaquent au droit même de négocier collectivement. That's why this weekend is so important. It's a weekend about our movement, how we're going to move forward and replace the Conservatives in 2015. Harper's Conservatives don't care about you. They don't even care about the law. This week we saw one of their disgraced ministers have to resign. That doesn't seem to bother him. He's going to run him again in Labrador. I hope we're going to work together to get the NDP elected in Labrador. We've seen unprecedented budget cuts, changes to EI that are a tax on those who need jobs. In the course of the last year, I've been on a picket line in front of a company in London, Ontario called Electromotive Diesel, a company that Stephen Harper visited during the 2011 election campaign to give out a $5 million check. Right after that election, the same company sat down its workers and said, you take a 50% pay cut or we're out of here. They shipped out, they kept the $5 million. Shame on Harper. I was on the picket line J'étais sur la ligne de piquetage chez Rio Tinto Alcan, à Alma, avec les travailleurs. On se rend compte que systématiquement, dès que ces entreprises étrangères arrivent, ils sont censés avoir des conditions, c'est censé être au bénéfice net du Canada. Il est où ce bénéfice net pour le Canada lorsque les gens sont mis dehors, mis en lockout immédiatement par ces entreprises? Vale, Xstrata, US Steel, Rio Tinto Alcan. C'est quoi le bénéfice net pour le Canada quand on s'attaque aux travailleurs? We had a budget this week that was emblematic of what we're facing with the Conservatives. Nothing to create jobs. 240,000 more young people are without a job today than when the crisis hit in 2008. They put up lies about public spending. That was not true, the numbers that they put up. All you have to do is look at that budget to realize that there's actually a diminution from last year to next in terms of the overall investment in infrastructure in this country. It's not sustainable. We have to get past the talking points and the lies of the Conservatives, talk directly to Canadians about all that is being lost under Stephen Harper's Conservatives. Nous qui connaissons les réussites du Fonds de solidarité de la FTQ, du Fonds d'action de la CSN, on sait à quel point ce budget est une attaque même contre l'épargne, mais surtout contre la solidarité sociale qui est représentée par ces fonds-là. In the province of Quebec, a great model for social solidarity and regional economic development, these great funds that were created by the central unions there have been dismantled in this week's budget, and don't let Stephen Harper get away with it. In the course of the last year, they've attacked everything from public universal free health care. They took away $30 billion from what had been proposed as transfers for health care. They're setting the clock for it right after the next election, hoping that they'll get re-elected and actually do it. You know what that will mean? That the model that we built together in this country, the model based on what Tommy Douglas showed us can be done to help each other in Saskatchewan, where no Canadian family should ever have to be forced to choose between having a sick child seen by a doctor and being able to put groceries on the table, that will be lost if we let Stephen Harper's Conservatives continue. That's why we have to stand up together. Retirement security, he didn't even have the courtesy and the courage to do it in Canada. He was standing in a billionaires conference in Davos, Switzerland, when he said, oh, by the way, Canadians just don't work hard enough. We're going to add 2 more years to your working life before you can collect your old age security. Oh yeah, that's a shame. But you know what? Ask Wayne Marston. It's a formal undertaking by the NDP. We will put that back to 65. Treating people who have paid into employment insurance like criminals, spying on them, humiliating them as people go to their homes. You know what's criminal? Criminal is stealing $58 billion from the employment insurance account. They took the fiscal space. You know, to hear the Conservatives tell it, well, it was public money before, it's still public money, who cares? You don't want it count, you're the NDP. Listen to this. They took $58 billion out of that account. It had been purpose-built by workers. Every worker had paid into it. Every employer had paid into it. They moved it into general revenue of the government. That's how they helped create the fiscal space to give across-the-board tax breaks to the richest corporations. Oh, by the way, they don't like it either when we say to the richest corporations. They'd have you believe that it was all corporations. But you know and I know that 600,000 good manufacturing jobs have been lost since they've arrived. And a lot of the manufacturing companies in Canada didn't make any profit in the last couple of years because it's been that tough with the artificially high Canadian dollar. So they're not paying taxes. You know what they get from across-the-board tax reductions? Nothing. You know who gets the money? The banks and the oil companies. Where did that fiscal space come from? From the money paid in by every employer, including the ones that are not getting any of it back. The companies that need a helping hand are getting nothing. The ones that don't create jobs, no personnel harm intended, but the Royal Bank didn't create any jobs last year. The companies that need help should be targeted the way we do it in the NDP government in Manitoba. 0% tax rate for small businesses in Manitoba, one of the lowest unemployment rates in Canada. That's the smart way to create jobs. You know, there was a time when people from Surrey to St. John's could count on a good job. You know, when we talk about the loss of those manufacturing jobs, those were usually jobs with enough of a salary for a family to live on. They usually came with a pension. Now a lot of those people are going to come to retirement without enough to live on, and you know what? That's another debt that we're leaving on the backs of future generations. So young people are being asked to accept that the current government is going to impose on them, brick by brick, dropped into their backpacks, the largest ecological, economic, and social debt in our history. That's why I do congratulate you for getting so many young people excited about our movement and back involved in the labour movement in Canada. Mr. Harper hasn't just stopped there. He and his Conservatives have been waging a war on the middle class, waging a war on wages, and waging a war on collective bargaining in our country. You know, this is an interesting statistic. In the past 35 years, for the first time in our history, the middle class is actually seeing its wages drop. Only the top 20% of wage earners in Canada in constant dollars are earning more than they were 35 years ago. Everybody else, the other 80%, are actually earning less. That is a scandal, and that is what has to be reversed. By reversing this tendency of the Conservatives to preach an economic model that is failing, we can do better, we deserve better, and through the NDP and the labour movement, we will get better in this country. How can we accept that in a country as rich as Canada, hundreds of thousands of seniors live in poverty? We fought for, in the 2011 budget, we fought for an increase in the guaranteed income supplement. We went to an election on it. Unfortunately, the Conservatives have a majority now, but we're turning the corner. We're halfway through that tragic majority mandate that the Conservatives have with only 30-some-odd% of the vote. But now the NDP has gone from being just the official opposition to becoming a government in waiting. We're connecting with people from coast to coast to coast with what Jack Layton inspired us to do, bring a vision that's positive, optimistic. Stephen Harper always tries to tell us what we can't have anymore, what we can no longer afford. Well, guess what? We know that the best results are attained when we work together. Travaillons ensemble doit être notre mot d'ordre. On est capable de réussir plus et ensemble, nous allons réussir pour les générations futures. Bill C-377. A monstrosity of red tape from a government that claims it doesn't like red tape. It interferes in your ability to bargain fairly. It changes the table. But not only that, think about it. The privacy rules involved, they say that's because union dues can come off your income tax, what your taxable income is. That's interesting. I didn't hear anybody try to apply a bill C-377 to the Bar Association, to the medical profession. Anybody's allowed to deduct that, which is paid in to get you those working conditions. Now they're attacking that. They're also trying to attack, and it's on the table, they're going to try to make it an issue in the next campaign. They're going to be going after the RAND formula, which has given us the ability and you the right to bargain collectively. And believe me, that is going to be the mother of all political battles in the labour movement, and we'll be there with you.